Hello, this is Mr. Hanna and welcome to What the Format. Today we're going to go over three other properties of equality. Remember, property of equality can be abbreviated POE. We do that again for sake of writing so we don't have to write property of equality over and over and over again. There are several of them. One video I did the operational. Now we're going to do the other three really common ones, especially for algebra. We have the distributive, the commutative, and the associative properties of equality. Now in these, what you're doing, you can do these to one side of the equation only. You don't have to do these properties to both sides. You can do them to both sides depending on the equation and how it's set up, because sometimes the equation requires you to distribute on both sides, but not always. Same thing with commutative or associative. Sometimes when you're simplifying on both sides, you might use them on both sides, but you don't have to, which is different than the addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division properties of equality. Those have to be done to both sides of an equation for them to be used. Now, distributive property, the key here is anytime you have a number next to parentheses, that's multiplication. So we can't add x plus 7. Order of operations say we're supposed to add x plus 7 first. So we're stuck. We can't do anything with this. But the distributive property, they've discovered, allows us to multiply into the parentheses as long as you multiply both terms or all the terms in the parentheses. There could be more than 2. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 7 is 14. That's the distributive property. Now, if there had been 3 terms, we would have had to multiply all 3 by 2. If there had been 4 terms, all 4 by 2. How would that look? Well, you might have x plus y plus z plus 7. You might have 3 variables and a number in there. Then you would have to multiply them all by 2. As long as you do that, you haven't changed the equality. Now, you can try that with some numbers. Okay, 3 plus 5 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Well, multiplying by 2 first. 2 times 3 is 6. Sorry, 3 plus 5 is 8, 2 times 8 is 16, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 5 is 10, 6 plus 10 is also 16. So the equality hasn't changed, even though you multiplied first and you bypassed the order of operations by doing what was in parentheses first. That's what is so amazing about the distributive properties. You can do that, and the equality is still the same. That's what a property of equality does. The action you do still preserves the equality of the situation. The other one, commutative property. Well, in commutative, I like to think of a commute. To commute means to move. So I consider this a lot of times the moving property. Okay? Things move. Okay? Here's an example. 3 plus 7, 10 plus 5, that's 15. 3 times 7, 21. Times 5, that's 105. Well, what if I move them? See, look at the 7 and 3. They moved. They changed places. Same thing here. 7 plus 3, 10 plus 5, still 15. 7 times 3, 21, times 5, still 105. Okay, you move the numbers. Now, this works for 2 operations. There's the commutative property of addition, and there's the commutative property of multiplication. All right, with subtraction, can't do commutative property unless the negative moves with the number. Okay, if you do 2 minus 3, 3 minus 2, that doesn't work. The numbers moved, but you didn't move the negative. Okay, what do I mean by move the negative? Okay, so here's 2 minus 3. 3 minus 2. That's negative 1. That's 1. See, those aren't equal anymore. What you did didn't work. Okay? But if you do 2 minus 3, negative 3 plus 2, see, those are still negative 1. You moved the negative with the 3. Essentially, you did the commutative property of addition here, even though there's a negative involved. So be mindful of that. A lot of students make some mistakes here. As long as the negative moves with the number, what we really essentially did is we wrote that as 2 plus negative 3. See that? Now it's addition. And then the negative 3 moves over here. See, we really did the commutative property of addition there, even though a negative was involved. Because you can move any number around, even a negative number, as long as the negative stays with the number. If you move just the numbers, that doesn't work. So be very careful with that. This is a big old no right here. This does not work. Okay? It only works if you do this way. So multiplication and division, there is no division commutative property. You can't do it with division, only with addition and multiplication. Then there's the associative property, same way. You can do the associative property with addition and multiplication. Okay? Or like with negatives, you just have to move the negative with the number. So 3 plus 7, 10, plus 5, there's your 15. Or we can do 7 plus 5 first. 12 plus 3 is 15. And how do you change the order of operations? Well, the way I look at it is I have parentheses and the parentheses move. So if the numbers move, that's the commutative property. If the parentheses move, that's the associative property. 3 times 7, 21 times 5, 105. 105 times 3, also 105. So these are the three more POEs in addition to addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And to me, these are the base 7. These are the ones that are most commonly used in algebra. Distributive property a lot, okay? Especially when we get to quadratics and you have FOILing. But you can also multiply binomials, trinomials by trinomials, trinomials by trinomials. I know you're thinking, what are those? They'll make more sense down the road, but when we multiply those, we'll be using the distributive property. In fact, though you've been using the distributive property since 3rd grade, you just didn't really know it. Some of the lower grades have taught distributive property, but it looks a lot different once you start adding variables in, so students get confused, don't realize that it's the same property they've been using all the time. Anyway, so these are these 3. Pretty soon I'll do a video that'll show you an example of using them in a problem, and hopefully that'll help. But you have to memorize these and know these and recognize them. Otherwise, trying to apply them to a problem doesn't help. Okay, that's the foundation of algebra. You got to know the rules, understand it. You got to memorize things, know what to look for, recognize them when you see them. Otherwise, it doesn't really help you. So hopefully you understand the properties of equality after watching my first video and this video. Now we're going to go over how to use them. Anyway, this has been Mr. Hanna. Thank you for watching What the Format. Happy mathing.